stars were cold and endless. In that dark sea of space, a ship moved without sound. Its metal skin was black as night, and its engines glowed faintly, like the eyes of a beast watching from the shadows. This was no ordinary ship. It was the hunting vessel of the Predator Pack, a group feared by many races across the galaxy. The pack lived for the hunt. They were not explorers. They were not traders. They were killers. To them, life was a game, and the weak were made to be hunted. They had crushed villages, burned colonies, and torn ships apart. Every world they touched remembered only screams and blood. Inside the ship, the predators gathered in their hall. Their bodies were tall, strong, and covered with scars from old battles. Their eyes glowed yellow in the dim light. Sharp teeth showed whenever they smiled, and their claws tapped the floor with excitement. Tonight, they were planning a new hunt. Their leader, a beast larger than the rest, stepped forward. His voice was deep, rough, and cruel. "Brothers," he said, "we have hunted across many stars. We have taken prey from 10 worlds. Yet still our hunger grows. Tonight, we shall claim a new race. Tonight we hunt humans." The hall filled with roars and laughter. To the predators, humans were nothing special. Small bodies, soft skin, no claws, no fangs. Compared to armored beasts and clawed aliens, humans looked weak. They had seen humans before, on trade routes and space stations. The predators believed the hunt would be quick, easy, and fun. One predator slammed his fist on the table. "They are prey without teeth. Their bones will crack like glass." Another hissed with delight. "We will teach them fear. Their screams will echo in our halls." The leader raised his hand for silence. His yellow eyes narrowed, and his lips curled into a smile. "Then it is decided. We go to their colony. We strike at night. We take them all. Let every star know the power of the Predator Pack." The ship turned its path, heading toward the small human colony on a distant planet. Far below, on the planet's surface, the humans lived quiet lives. The colony was small, built near the edge of a forest. Metal homes stood in neat rows, and fields of crops stretched beyond them. Miners worked in tunnels deep in the mountains. Children played in the streets, their laughter rising into the air. The people did not know what was coming. As the sun set, the sky turned red and gold. Families gathered for dinner. Lamps lit their homes, and fires burned in the hearths. To the humans, it was just another peaceful evening. To the predators, it was the perfect moment to strike. High above the clouds, the predator's ship drifted like a shadow. Its engines hummed softly as it lowered toward the planet. Inside, the hunters prepared. They sharpened their blades, checked their weapons, and painted marks of war on their armor. Each mark told a story of a kill. Each mark was a warning. One young predator spoke with pride. "This hunt will be easy. The humans will run. They will beg. They will fall to our claws." An older hunter chuckled darkly. "Do not waste time with words. Let your blade speak. Prey does not deserve respect." The leader watched them, his chest rising and falling with hunger. He loved the moment before a hunt, the silence, the waiting, the knowledge that soon there would be blood. When the ship broke through the clouds, the colony lay beneath them, glowing with soft lights. The predators leaned close to the windows, their eyes shining with desire. They could see the humans moving below, small figures, unaware of death above their heads. The leader growled, "Tonight their peace ends. Tonight they learn fear." The ramp of the ship opened, and the cold night air rushed in. One by one, the predators leapt out, landing silently in the shadows near the colony. Their claws dug into the soil. Their nostrils flared with the smell of human life. The hunt had begun. The colony was quiet. Lamps burned softly, voices whispered, and doors closed as families went to sleep. No one saw the dark shapes moving between the buildings. No one heard the soft scrape of claws on metal. No one felt the yellow eyes watching from the shadows. The predators spread out, each one moving like a shadow through the streets. They were patient. They were hunters. To them, the colony was not a home. It was a hunting ground. The leader crouched on a rooftop, his eyes scanning the streets below. He could hear laughter from inside the homes. He could smell food cooking. He could feel the warmth of human life. His lips curled back, showing sharp teeth. "Fragile," he whispered. "They do not know death is near." The predators waited for his signal. The colony slept, unaware that monsters had come from the sky. Above them, the stars shone cold and silent. Below, the hunters crouched in the dark, ready to strike. And in that moment, the future of the humans changed forever. The night was deep and silent, the kind of silence that comes only when a colony sleeps. Faint lights glowed from windows, and the wind moved softly through the streets, carrying the smell of crops and smoke from dinner fires. It was peaceful, too peaceful, but not for long. In the shadows of the colony, the predators moved. Their bodies were large, their claws sharp, their eyes glowing faintly in the dark. They had landed without sound, slipping through the night like hunters in the forest. They moved with patience, each step calculated, each breath controlled. The humans did not know they were being watched. The leader crouched near the edge of a house, his tall frame hidden in the darkness. His eyes scanned the humans who walked outside. 2 miners finishing their shift, a mother pulling her child inside, an old man locking his door. They looked so calm, so unaware. To the predator leader, this was laughable. "They are blind," he whispered, his voice low and cruel. "They do not see us. They do not hear us. They are prey waiting to fall." The pack spread out. One predator climbed onto a roof, his claws sinking into the metal with ease. Another slithered between storage crates, his yellow eyes never blinking. A third crouched near the main street, his muscles tense, waiting for the moment to strike. The humans continued their simple tasks. They closed windows, blew out lamps, and spoke soft words to one another. They believed the night was safe. Then it happened. The first scream tore through the silence. It came from the edge of the colony, near the crops. A farmer had walked outside to check his field. He never returned. One moment he was there. The next, his body was dragged into the shadows, and blood darkened the ground. The scream echoed through the streets, sharp and chilling. Doors opened. People stepped outside, confused. They looked into the night, calling the farmer's name. But the shadows gave no answer. The predators smiled. The leader raised his claw, and the hunt began. A predator leapt from the roof, landing in the middle of the street. His body towered over the humans, his teeth bared, his claws shining under the lamps. Gasps filled the air. For a heartbeat, there was silence, then chaos. Humans screamed and ran in every direction. Mothers grabbed children. Fathers shouted warnings. Alarms rang out, echoing across the colony. The ground shook as the predators charged. One predator smashed through a door, dragging out a family that had tried to hide. Another ripped open a storage shed, tossing aside crates as if they were made of paper. A third chased 2 miners down a narrow street, their boots pounding against the ground as the predator's claws scraped the walls. The leader stood tall in the center of the chaos, his yellow eyes glowing like fire. He roared, a sound so deep and powerful that windows shattered and lights flickered. To the humans, it was the roar of death. The humans tried to fight back. Some grabbed tools, hammers, shovels, old mining drills, and swung with all their strength. But their blows bounced off the predator's thick skin. One man struck a predator in the chest with a pickaxe, only to be thrown against a wall with such force that he did not rise again. Another group of humans fired old rifles, their bullets cracking through the night. A few shots hit, but the predators did not slow. They roared in anger, their claws slashing, their bodies moving with terrifying speed. Everywhere the humans turned, there were hunters. The colony, once peaceful, had become a cage. The streets were filled with screams, the air with smoke and dust. But then, something strange happened. One human did not run. He was not tall, not armed with any strong weapon. He wore the rough clothes of a miner, and his hands were scarred from years of work in the tunnels. His face was hard, his eyes steady. While others ran, he stood still, watching the predators with a gaze that was not fear, but fire. The leader noticed him. From across the street, the predator's glowing eyes locked on the lone human. This was unusual. Prey always ran. Prey always screamed. But this one did not. The leader tilted his head, curious. He walked closer, his heavy steps shaking the ground. The crowd of fleeing humans parted, leaving the miner standing alone in the open. The predator loomed over him, twice his size, claws ready to strike. He bared his teeth, waiting for the man to fall to his knees. But the human did not move. Instead, he spoke. "You think we are prey?" His voice was calm, yet carried through the chaos like a blade through the air. "You are wrong." The predator froze. His pack, watching from the shadows, paused as well. It was not the words themselves that made them hesitate. It was the way they were spoken. Strong, certain, defiant. The leader laughed, a cruel sound. "You dare speak to me? You dare stand when others crawl?" The miner did not blink. "I do not crawl. Not for you. Not for anyone." Something stirred in the hearts of the predators. For the first time, a whisper of doubt entered their minds. This was no ordinary prey. The leader's smile faded. He raised his claw, sharp and deadly, ready to strike the human down. But before he could move, the man stepped back into the shadows of the tunnels. "Follow me," the miner said, his voice echoing in the dark. "If you think I am prey, prove it." The leader snarled and signaled his pack. The predators roared in excitement and charged after the human. Their claws scraped the stone, their breaths hot and eager. They would tear this man apart, make him scream louder than any prey before. But the miner's steps were steady, his pace controlled. He moved deeper into the tunnels, where the light of the colony faded and darkness swallowed everything. The predators followed without fear. They believed the hunt had already ended. But what they did not know was that they had stepped into the humans' world, not theirs. The colony above burned with screams and chaos, but deep below, in the black tunnels, something else was waiting. Something that would change the hunt forever. The tunnels were dark, silent, and endless. They stretched deep into the mountains, carved by years of mining and sweat. The walls were jagged stone, the floor rough with dust, and the air heavy with the scent of earth. For most, the tunnels were a place of work, but tonight they would become something else. The predators moved quickly, their heavy bodies brushing the walls, their claws sparking against the stone as they ran. They could see well in the dark, their glowing eyes cutting through the black. They did not stumble, they did not slow. They were hunters, built for the chase. And yet, something about these tunnels felt wrong. The leader growled, his breath steaming in the cold air. The human was just ahead. They had seen him step into the dark, had heard his steady voice challenging them, daring them. Now he was gone, swallowed by the shadows. "Find him," the leader ordered. His voice echoed against the stone, bouncing back with a strange hollowness. "Do not let him escape. I will tear his throat with my claws." The pack spread out, moving deeper. Their nostrils flared as they searched for the human scent. It was faint, masked by the thick smell of stone and dust, but it was there. They followed it like hounds chasing prey. Minutes passed. The tunnels twisted and turned, splitting into narrow paths, then joining again into wide caverns. The predators moved with confidence at first, but soon their steps grew less certain. One of them hissed, "This place is a maze." Another snarled, "The human is trying to trick us, but stone cannot save him. He is weak." The leader silenced them with a glare. He would not allow doubt. They were the predator pack. They had crushed stronger foes. They had hunted armored beasts, winged creatures, and fire-breathing monsters. What could human miner do? But even as he thought this, a memory flickered in his mind. The way the human had stood, unshaken, unafraid. The way his voice had carried strength instead of fear. It unsettled him, though he would not admit it. Suddenly, a sound came from the darkness ahead. A scrape, a clang, then silence. The pack froze, their ears twitching. The sound had been close. The leader raised his claw, signaling them to stop. He stepped forward slowly, his eyes glowing, his breath steady. His heart beat faster, not with fear, but with hunger. He would end this game. He would show his pack that no prey could stand against them. But then the ground shook. It was small at first, just a tremor under their feet. Dust rained from the ceiling. Then came the roar of stone breaking, splitting. A section of the tunnel collapsed, crashing down between the predators and the path they had taken. The way back was sealed. The predators snarled in anger, their voices echoing through the cavern. "He trapped us," one shouted. The leader's eyes narrowed. He would not admit it, but the truth was clear. The human had planned this. From the shadows ahead, a voice rang out, calm and steady. "You walked into my home. Now you will learn. The tunnels do not belong to you. They belong to me." The predators turned their heads, searching. The voice echoed through the stone, making it hard to tell where it came from. The leader roared, "Show yourself, human coward. Stop hiding and face us." For a moment, silence answered. Then, from the far end of the tunnel, a small light flickered. A lamp. And standing beside it, the human miner. He held no gun, no blade. Only a worn metal tool rested in his hands. His face was marked with scars, his eyes hard as stone. He looked at the predators as if they were nothing more than beasts in his way. "You think strength is in claws," the human said, "but true strength is here." He tapped his head with one finger. "And here." He placed his hand over his chest. "And will." The predators snarled, their teeth flashing in the dim light. One of them, eager for blood, rushed forward. His claws gleamed as he charged, his roar shaking the tunnel. The human did not move until the last moment. Then he pulled a lever hidden in the wall. The ground beneath the charging predator cracked. A pit opened, and the beast fell with a scream. The sound of bones snapping echoed through the tunnel as he was crushed by the rocks below. The pack hissed in shock. Their glowing eyes darted around, searching the walls, the ceiling, the floor. How many traps had the human set? The leader growled, anger boiling in his chest. But under the anger was something else, something colder. Fear. He pushed it down and raised his claw. "Kill him." The pack charged, claws scraping, teeth bared. The tunnel filled with their roars, their bodies rushing forward like a storm. But the human was ready. He had prepared for this night. He struck another switch. Explosives hidden in the walls blasted, the shockwave throwing dust and stone into the air. The tunnel shook, and rocks rained down, crushing two more predators beneath the collapse. The survivors staggered, their bodies cut and bruised, their eyes burning with rage. They looked at the human, and for the first time, they did not see prey. They saw a fighter, A trickster. A survivor. The miner's voice cut through the dust. You came to hunt us, but you will not leave as hunters. You will leave as the hunted. The leader roared, but even he felt the weight of those words. The pack had lost 3 already, not to weapons, not to strength, but to the cunning of one human. The tunnels grew silent again, the air thick with dust and fear. The predators, once so sure, now felt doubt creeping into their hearts. They had entered this place believing the hunt would be simple, but now they were trapped in a labyrinth made by their prey. The leader glared at the human, who stood calmly at the far end of the tunnel, his lamp flickering, his eyes unbroken. This was no ordinary human. This was something else. And for the first time in their lives, the predators felt the edge of fear. The tunnels shook with silence after the blasts. Dust floated in the air, glowing faintly in the weak light of the miner's lamp. The predators stood scattered, their glowing eyes flickering like embers in the dark. They had lost 3 of their number already. To them, this was unthinkable. Predators were feared across the stars. No prey had ever taken them down so easily. No prey had ever dared to fight back like this. The leader's chest rose and fell as he growled deep in his throat. His claws scraped the stone wall, sending sparks into the dust. His pack waited for his command, their muscles tense, their minds burning with rage and confusion. The human miner stood at the far end of the cavern, his lamp casting a circle of light around him. His face was calm, his body steady. He looked small compared to the towering predators, yet something in his stance made him seem unshakable. "This is my world," the human said, his voice echoing in the cavern. "You entered thinking it belonged to you, but you are wrong. Every path, every stone, every shadow, you walk where I choose." The predators hissed in anger. To them, this was arrogance, but beneath their fury, a seed of doubt grew. This human was not running. He was not begging. He was leading. The leader snarled, "Enough of your words. Kill him." 3 predators rushed forward. Their heavy steps pounded the floor, claws flashing in the weak light. Their roars filled the cavern. The human did not move until they were close. Then, with one swift pull of a rope hidden in the wall, the ground beneath them split open. Wooden supports snapped, and a wave of water from an underground reservoir surged forward. The predators roared in shock as the flood carried them into a deep shaft. Their cries faded into the darkness below. The survivors froze. Water dripped from the stone, echoing in the silence. The human stood unmoved, his lamp steady, his eyes unbroken. "You think yourselves hunters," he said, "but hunters do not walk blindly into another man's ground. You should have stayed in the shadows of the stars." One predator growled low, fear mixing with fury. "He toys with us. He makes us look weak." The leader's jaw tightened. His pride screamed at him to prove strength, to crush this fragile being. Yet his instincts whispered caution. This was no ordinary fight. This was a war of minds. He barked orders. "Spread out. Do not charge together. Flush him out. Surround him." The pack obeyed. They split into groups, their glowing eyes vanishing into side tunnels. The stone walls carried their roars, their claws scraping against rock as they moved like shadows through the maze. The human stepped back into darkness, his lamp flickering. He moved with purpose, not speed. He knew these tunnels better than anyone. Every passage, every crack, every hidden chamber was carved into his memory. He had worked here for years, mining stone and carving paths with his hands. Every day, every hour, he had learned the mountain's secrets. Now those secrets would be his weapons. The predators searched, but the tunnels betrayed them. Their roars bounced back in strange echoes, making it hard to tell where each sound came from. Dust clouded their vision. Drips of water masked the miner's footsteps. Then came the first strike. A predator entered a narrow tunnel, his body crouched low. Suddenly, the ceiling above him cracked. Rocks crashed down, burying him under stone. His roars ended in silence. The pack howled in fury. Another predator turned a corner and triggered a hidden tripwire. Spears made from mining drills shot out of the walls, piercing his chest. He staggered, blood spraying, before collapsing. The leader heard the cries of his pack, each one fading into silence. His heart pounded, not with excitement, but with something he had never felt before. Fear. This is not possible, he growled. One human cannot destroy us. But he knew it was already happening. The miner's voice came again, drifting through the tunnels like a ghost. You came to teach us fear. Instead, you will carry fear back to your stars. That is, if any of you survive. The words burned the predator's pride. Their glowing eyes darted in every direction, their bodies tense, ready for attacks they could not see. They were hunters, but here, in these tunnels, they were the hunted. The leader roared in anger, his voice shaking the walls. Enough of this. Show yourself human. Silence answered. Then, from the darkness, a faint glow appeared. The miner's lamp, flickering in the distance. The leader's eyes blazed. He lunged forward, his steps echoing like thunder. His breath came fast, his claws slicing the air. He would tear the human apart with his own hands. But as he closed in, a sharp crack echoed overhead. The ceiling split, and fire rained down. Barrels of fuel, hidden high above, had been rigged to fall. Flames exploded across the tunnel, the heat blasting through the air. Two predators screamed as fire engulfed them. Their bodies writhed, their roars turning to shrieks. The smell of burning flesh filled the air. The leader staggered back, his eyes wide with shock. His pack was nearly gone. Out of the mighty hunters who had landed on this colony, only a handful remained. And still the human stood. The miner's lamp glowed faintly through the smoke. His voice was calm, steady, unshaken. Now you know. You thought we were prey. But humans are not prey. We are survivors, and survivors are dangerous. The surviving predators backed away, their bodies tense. Their pride told them to fight, but their instincts screamed to run. They had never faced prey like this. Prey that set traps, prey that turned the ground itself into a weapon, prey that fought with mind and will, not claws or teeth. The leader's chest heaved with rage and shame. He had promised his pack an easy hunt, a feast of blood. Instead, he had led them into a nightmare. But still, he would not give in. He could not. His pride, his very being refused. He pointed his claw toward the miner, his voice breaking with fury. You may have killed my pack, but you will not kill me. I will end you with my own hands. The miner's eyes locked on his, calm and steady. He did not answer. He only stepped back into the shadows of the tunnels, leaving the leader to follow. The traps had broken the pack. Now the true fight would begin. The tunnels were quiet now. Too quiet. Smoke from a fire still clung to the air, mixing with the heavy smell of blood and stone. The survivors of the predator pack stood scattered, their glowing eyes darting through the shadows. Their bodies, once proud and unshaken, now twitched with unease. They were fewer now. The hunters who had once roared with confidence had been buried under stone, drowned in water, crushed by traps, or burned by fire. Each loss had been fast and merciless. Each death had come not from claws or blades, but from the cunning of a single human. The leader's chest heaved with rage. His claws dripped with the blood of the colony, but it no longer mattered. His promise of an easy hunt was gone. His pack, once invincible, was broken, and still the human lived. The miner's voice drifted through the tunnels again, calm and steady, echoing from every wall. You thought fear was a weapon that belonged only to you. But fear is mine now. Every step you take, every sound you hear, it belongs to me." The predators growled, their voices shaking. But none of them moved forward. Their instincts, once sharp, were clouded with doubt. They had faced many foes in the galaxy, but never like this. Never prey that turned the hunt into a trap. Never prey that made them afraid. One predator whispered, his voice low. "He watches us. He waits. The shadows belong to him." "Silence!" the leader roared, though his own heart pounded in his chest. "He is just one human. He cannot kill us all." But even as he spoke, a sound cut through the tunnel. A soft clatter of stone. A faint creak of wood. The predators froze. Their glowing eyes flicked to the ceiling, the walls, the floor. Every shadow seemed alive. Then a sudden flash. A mind charge hidden in the rock ignited with a thunderous crack. The blast tore through the tunnel, throwing two predators to the ground. One did not rise again. The other staggered, blood pouring from his wounds, his roars filled with pain instead of pride. The survivors howled, their fear plain. The human spoke again, his voice closer now. "You came to take lives. Now you run from the dark. You are not hunters. You are prey." The words cut deeper than blades. The predators were creatures of pride, built on dominance, on the certainty that they were always at the top of the chain. To be called prey was worse than death. Yet the truth pressed on them like a weight. They felt it in their chests, in the tremble of their claws, in the way their eyes darted at every shadow. One predator snapped, panic filling his voice. "We must leave. The ship. If we reach the ship, we can escape this cursed place." The leader's jaw tightened. Escape. The thought was poison. He could not face the stars, carrying the shame of running from one human. His name would be broken, his pack's honor crushed forever. No, he would fight. He would kill. Still, even as he roared, the doubts spread through him like fire. His pack's breaths were quick and shallow. Their steps no longer rang with confidence, but dragged with hesitation. Fear had sunk its claws into them. The miner moved silently through the tunnels, his lamp flickering in the distance. He knew where every trap was, where every support beam could fall, where every narrow passage could choke his enemies. The mountain was his ally. The darkness was his shield. And fear was his blade. He whispered, his words carrying on the echoes. "You came for screams. Do you hear them now? They are yours." The predators flinched. One spun, slashing at the shadows, his claws tearing stone. But there was nothing there. Nothing but the sound of his own heavy breath. Then another trap sprung. A cable snapped across the tunnel, releasing a cluster of sharpened spikes. They flew with deadly speed, striking one predator through the chest. His roar ended in silence as he collapsed, blood darkening the dust. The survivors cried out. "Enough of this!" the leader bellowed, though his voice cracked with desperation. "Find him. Tear him apart." But no one moved. The pack that once obeyed without question now hesitated. Their glowing eyes flickered with fear. Their claws twitched. Their hearts raced. The human stepped into view at the far end of the tunnel. His body looked small against the stone, but his presence filled the air. His eyes burned like fire, unbroken, unyielding. "You call yourselves predators," he said, his voice steady. "But predators do not fear the dark. Predators do not tremble at shadows. Look at yourselves. You are not predators anymore. You are prey that came to the wrong place." The words struck like thunder. The predators snarled, but their voices shook. One of them, filled with rage, lunged forward, claws raised. The miner stood his ground. At the last second, he pulled another lever hidden in the wall. The floor split open, revealing a shaft leading deep into the mines. The predator roared in terror as he fell, his cries fading into the endless dark. The leader's claws curled, his teeth bared, his heart hammered. He wanted to deny it, to roar against the truth, but the truth was all around him. His pack was dying. His pack was afraid. And he was afraid too. The miner took a step forward. Just one step, but it felt like the whole tunnel shifted with him. "You wanted to show humans what fear feels like," he said softly. "Now you know, and you will never forget it." The survivors backed away. Their breaths came fast, their eyes wild. They wanted to run, to flee into the night, to leave this cursed place behind. But the leader blocked their path. He roared, his voice echoing through the stone. "Stand and fight. We are predators. We do not run." But his words rang hollow. The human stood tall in the glow of his lamp, surrounded by the dust, the smoke, the broken bodies of the once proud hunters. He had no claws, no armor, no mighty strength. Yet he had something greater. Fear was his now. And in that moment, the balance of the hunt was gone. The predators, once feared across the stars, now felt the same terror they had given to countless others. They had learned too late. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was dangerous. And this human miner, scarred and unshaken, had turned their fear into his greatest weapon. The hunt was no longer theirs. The hunt belonged to him. The tunnels shook with silence. Dust floated in the air, lit by the weak glow of the human's lamp. The predators stood frozen, their glowing eyes darting between their leader and the lone miner. The pack was broken. Fear had carved its way into their hearts. Their strength, once united, was now scattered like dust on the wind. Some wanted to flee. Others wanted to hide. None wanted to fight. But the leader refused to bow. His pride was greater than his fear. His claws flexed, his chest rose and fell with rage, and his voice thundered against the stone. "Cowards, all of you, you disgrace the blood of hunters. You tremble before a single human." None answered. Their silence was worse than words. The miner stood tall, his lamp casting long shadows across his face. He did not flinch at the leader's roar. His voice was calm, steady, and heavy with certainty. "They don't follow you anymore. You promised them an easy hunt. You promised glory. But all you gave them was fear. That is all you are now." The leader's eyes burned with fury. He could not allow this. He could not return to the stars with shame. His name would be broken. His pack would be forgotten. His people would spit at his memory. No, the hunt was not over. He stepped forward, his claws scraping against stone. His muscles tensed. His breath came heavy. His words were filled with venom. "If I must face you alone, then I will. I will rip you apart with my claws. I will crush the life from you. And when I am done, your body will hang as proof that no human can stand against us." The miner's grip tightened on the metal rod he carried. It was no sword, no gun, only a tool he had sharpened into a weapon. His hands bore cuts and bruises. His body shook from exhaustion, but his eyes did not waver. "Then come," he said simply. The pack scattered back into the shadows, their fear too strong. None dared stand between the two. The tunnel seemed to hold its breath. The air grew heavy, as if the mountain itself waited for the clash. The leader roared and charged. His claws cut through the air with deadly speed. The human dodged, rolling across the stone floor. Sparks flew as claws met rock, tearing deep scars into the walls. The miner rose quickly, swinging his rod. The metal struck the leader's arm with a sharp crack. The predator growled, but the blow did not stop him. He lunged again, faster, heavier, driven by rage. The human leapt aside, heart pounding. He could not match the predator's strength. One strike could end him. He had only his mind, his speed. and the traps still hidden in the stone. The leader slashed again, the claws cutting close. The miner stumbled, the edge of a claw tearing across his arm. Pain seared through him, hot and sharp, but he forced himself to move. He could not stop now. "You bleed," the leader roared, grinning with savage triumph. "You bleed and you will fall." But the miner's voice stayed steady. "I bleed, yes, but I stand. Can you say the same when fear eats at you?" The predator snarled and struck again. The miner ducked, guiding the fight toward a narrow stretch of tunnel. His lamp flickered, throwing shadows across the walls. Each strike came faster, heavier. Stone shattered under claws. Sparks burst with every missed blow. The tunnel echoed with roars and the crash of steel against stone. The miner breathed hard, sweat dripping into his eyes. His body screamed with pain, but his mind stayed sharp. He knew this place. He had built it with his hands, and he would use it now. As the leader lunged again, the miner pulled a rope hidden against the wall. A heavy beam dropped from above, crashing between them. Dust filled the air, blocking the predator's sight. The human struck then, driving his rod into the leader's side. The predator roared, staggering back. Blood, dark and thick, spilled down his flank. The pack gasped from the shadows, their eyes wide. The leader clutched the wound, but did not fall. His rage burned hotter than the pain. He leapt forward, claws wide, and slammed into the human. The miner was thrown hard against the wall. His ribs ached. His breath burst from his chest. His weapon clattered across the floor. For a moment, the world spun. The predator loomed over him, claws raised high. His grin was wide, cruel. "Your tricks end here, human. You fought well, but even prey that resists must fall." The miner's hand searched blindly along the floor. His fingers brushed against a broken tool, an old pickaxe head, sharp and heavy. He gripped it tight. The predator's claws came down. At the last instant, the human twisted and drove the pickaxe upward. The metal sank deep into the predator's chest. The leader froze. His eyes widened. His roar died in his throat. He staggered back, the weapon still lodged in his body. The miner pushed himself to his feet, blood running down his arm, his breath heavy. His voice was steady as stone. "You came to take lives, but this is where yours end." The predator stumbled, claws clutching at the wound. His knees struck the ground. His pride, his fury, his power, all of it drained into the dust. His glowing eyes dimmed. With a final shuddering breath, the leader of the predator pack fell. His body struck the stone with a heavy thud, and silence followed. The pack trembled in the shadows. Their leader was dead. The human stood alive. The truth was undeniable. The miner raised his lamp high, his voice echoing through the tunnels. "Go. Leave this place. Carry the tale back to your stars. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that humanity is not prey. Tell them we are not weak. Tell them what fear feels like." The predators did not argue. They did not roar. They turned and fled into the night, their footsteps fading into silence. The tunnels were quiet again, but not with despair. This time it was victory. The human leaned against the wall, his body broken and bleeding, but his spirit unshaken. He looked at the fallen leader and whispered, not with anger, but with truth, "You learned too late. Fear belongs to us now." Outside, the night sky stretched endless and cold, but deep within the mountain, one human had stood against the hunters of the stars and won. The predator pack had come to teach humanity fear. Instead, they had carried it away with them. And the legend of the miner, the man who turned fear into power, had just begun. The tunnels were quiet. The echoes of claws and roars had faded. Only dust, stone, and silence remained. The bodies of the fallen predators lay scattered in the shadows, their glowing eyes dark at last. The miner sat against the wall, his lamp burning low. His chest rose and fell slowly, every breath sharp with pain. His arms and ribs were cut and bruised, his body near broken. But he was alive. Against all odds, against the fury of the predator pack, he had survived. He closed his eyes for a moment, listening to the stillness. For the first time since the attack began, he felt peace. The colony was gone, but he had kept its spirit alive. He had shown the hunters that humanity would not bow. Far above the mountain, the stars burned bright, and in the blackness between them, a broken ship limped into the sky. The survivors of the predator pack fled, their hearts heavy with shame, their pride shattered. They carried wounds of flesh, but worse were the wounds of the spirit. Inside the ship, silence ruled. The predators did not boast. They did not laugh. Their claws tapped nervously against the metal floors. Each of them saw again the shadows of the mine, the echo of the human's voice, the traps, the fear. One finally spoke, his voice low. "We must never return." Another growled softly, his pride stung. "We are hunters. To fear one human, this is madness." But even he could not hide the truth. His hand shook. His eyes twitched at every flicker of shadow. He remembered the traps, the whispers, the way the darkness had turned against them. The name of the human was unknown. His colony was destroyed, yet his victory burned brighter than any name. The leader's body had been left behind, buried under stone and dust. For the predators, it was a shame they could not erase. A leader killed by prey, a story that would spread across the stars. And spread it did. When the survivors returned to their people, they spoke of the mine. At first, they tried to hide the truth. They said the human was a demon, a monster cloaked in shadow. They said he had powers no prey should have. But others listened carefully. Beneath the excuses, beneath the lies, the truth was clear. A lone human miner had killed their leader. He had broken the predator pack with traps, cunning, and fear. The story grew. It traveled from one ship to another, from one station to the next. It became a whisper in dark taverns, a warning in quiet halls. The predators, once feared across galaxies, now carried a tale that made others laugh or tremble. "Did you hear?" one alien would say. The predators faced a human in the mines. They went in as hunters and came out as prey. "A single miner," another whispered. "Not a soldier, not a warrior, just a man with tools and shadows." At first, many did not believe it, but the survivor scars, their haunted eyes, their silence when asked, the proof was too strong. And slowly, fear shifted. For ages, humans had been seen as weak. Their bodies lacked claws, armor, or speed. They were easy targets in the eyes of stronger races. Prey, nothing more. But now a new idea spread. If a single human could defeat a predator pack, what could armies of humans do? What could whole planets of them accomplish if cornered? The predators themselves felt the change most deeply. Where once they had laughed at humans, now they watched them with unease. Their pride was cracked, their dominance shaken, and far away, on a lonely mountain, the miner recovered. His wounds healed slowly, his body carrying scars that would never fade. But he did not care. He had done what no one thought possible. Sometimes, at night, he would walk the tunnels. The traps still hung in place, broken and burned, but they reminded him of the battle. He would run his hand over the stone walls and whisper to the silence, "This was our home, and it still stands." He buried the dead of his colony with care, carving their names into the rock. He made graves for the predators too, not out of respect, but to mark the truth, that here the hunters had fallen. Months later, travelers came. Rumors had spread across the trade routes. and curious wanderers wanted to see the place for themselves. They came with fear in their eyes, whispering the story. Is it true? One man fought them all. The miner said little. He did not boast. He only pointed to the graves, to the broken stone, to the silence that still carried the weight of the battle. The travelers left, and the story grew again. Now it was not just about predators and fear. It was about humanity. The tale became a legend. In time, it was given a name. The night the predators learned fear. In far-off worlds, children of other species spoke it in hushed tones. In war councils, leaders used it as warning. And in the hearts of predators everywhere, it grew like a shadow they could never shake. When predators crossed paths with humans in later years, something new appeared in their eyes. Not contempt, not hunger, but hesitation. Because they remembered the miner. They remembered the tunnels. They remembered the fear. The miner himself never sought fame. He did not chase glory. He lived quietly, working the stone, repairing what was broken, guarding the memory of his people. But without knowing, he had changed the way the galaxy looked at his kind. No longer would humans be seen as weak prey. There was something else now, something dangerous. Fear had once been the weapon of the predators, but it had been taken from them. It now belonged to humanity, and so the legend grew, passed from one world to the next. The predators learned it first, but others followed. Never corner a human. Never think them weak. For when humans stand against the dark, they do not fall. They rise, and they will teach even predators what fear truly means. The miner walked the tunnels one last time, lamp in hand, shadows stretching long. He paused where the leader had fallen, the scars of the battle still carved into the stone. He whispered softly, to the silence, to the stars, to those who would come after. They will remember. And they did. Across the stars, forever, the name of humanity was no longer prey. It was something far greater. It was fear.